I ran a travel services company for about 20 years. One of the big luxuries is you wake up in the morning and from your bed you only look at greenery. Let's find a weekend home that's also close to our son's school. And that landscape, and already the plots had trees, there's so much greenery. Like we are on I think 28 or 29,000 square feet plot right now. I'm old Bangalorean, born in Bangalore, grew up here. So I'll tell you why we came to Frangipani. Firstly, thanks for having me on this podcast, vlog, whatever you all are doing. So, Shravan Gupta, been a Frangipani owner for about 7 years now and enjoying every moment of those 7 years. Quick background about myself. I ran a travel services company for about 20 years. Exited that and set up our family office. And through the family office, our interests are mostly in travel, tech, hospitality, and real estate. I'm old Bangalorean, born in Bangalore, grew up here, went to school and college in Bangalore. So very much an old Bangalorean with a few businesses. And then came back in 98, and I've been back here in Bangalore since then. It was fairly easy going, but I always had a passion for business, especially the service industry. Growing up, I wanted to really be actively involved in the hotel and hospitality industry, and I had this big dream of going to Switzerland to study hospitality because that was kind of the best place to do it. So I'll tell you why we came to Frangipani. See, growing up, my dad had a farmhouse, and we spent a lot of our weekends and stuff there with cousins, friends, and so on. So I always loved the idea of a weekend home, and so it was always on my mind that someday we'd like to have a weekend home where we can get away and switch off and things like that. It so happened that my son went to school close by, and therefore Shalini, my wife, and I, we decided that let's find a weekend home that's also close to our son's school. So, it makes things easier and we can spend more time. So a cousin of mine introduced me to Prashant Kajaria, and that's how we made our first trip here. And I must tell you, the moment we walked into this development, both Shalini and I first felt a sense of calm and an amazing energy around here. And in fact, that day there were some crazy traffic jams due to a political rally and so on. So we were like, hey, it's going on and on. We haven't reached Frangipani. What's going on, kind of thing. But once we got here and on the way back, we had totally forgotten about that drive. And the only thing that remained with us was the amazing energy that we felt just walking around this development. So within the next week or so, we met Prashant again and decided that we'll go ahead and buy a plot here in this development. See, clearly the landscape is the first thing that hits you. Prashant's vision for the landscape is phenomenal. I haven't seen it anywhere in no five-star hotel or resort, because this is truly from his heart. And that landscape, and already the plots had trees, there's so much greenery. That was the first thing that hit us. And till date, I would say that's kind of the USP that you can't easily replicate. Yeah, so again, going back to the landscape and the greenery, there's so many beautiful places that one can get away or disappear, here at Frangipani. And for me, all these different spaces are unique. Today, if you ask me, the clubhouse is kind of my favorite place to get away to. But it was still being built when we first moved here. But I would say like the Rejuvenation Park is something that I really enjoy, especially early mornings. It's a great place to just walk around and get to see some amazing birds too, if you're here at the right season. Yeah, see, that was, it was on the Bangalore-Mysore highway. And if you've been on that highway recently, you'll know how much development has has come up there, right? So today it is still green, it's lovely, but you're on the main highway, there's a lot of noise. The migratory birds don't anymore come there. But here in Frangipani, the bird life is amazing. I must tell you, I got introduced to an app called Merlin. Basically, just by listening to a bird sound, it will tell you which bird it is, where it is from, where do you find these birds. So many mornings I'm walking around here in Frangipani and I have the Merlin app on. I told you about this whole farmhouse weekend concept, right? But what you also want along with that is that you want security, you want some amount of services, you want some common areas, and I think that all of that kind of comes together here at Frangipani. So you feel safe. There's so many security. There's camera. There's all of that going around. The infrastructure is amazing. And that's very impressive because even before the first plot was sold, I think there was so much of the infrastructure that was already developed and the developers had invested into that. So all of this put together, kind of ticked all our boxes because you can have a farmhouse, but then you have to be worried about the security, who's maintaining, who's looking after the water, the power, and all of that. So all of that is taken care of here. Yeah, I think a lot of things are similar. I think she loved the greenery as well. But for her, it was also the fact that these are large spaces. Every estate is fairly large. Like we are on a, I think 28 or 29,000 square feet plot right now. And there are larger ones also in this community. So for her, that was very important because that gives her the freedom to design and develop the home the way she wanted to. Oh, he was very young. He was maybe the first time we came here. He was probably 9 or 10 years. For him, right now, he really loves this place. Because I was joking with him one day that, hey, listen, if you're going away to the US, I think we'll sell Frangipani. There's no point. He was very upset for a few days. All the design elements you see here, all credit to Shalini. I was involved very little. My specialty is to come and see if things are practical or not, because sometimes design can get impractical. So that's where it stops. But all the creativity, design, visualizing is Shalini. Shalini was very involved. So we have fond memories of building this place. It kind of evolved over time. It also, like Prashant gave us some ideas. He had, it was quite interesting because he had developed two or three templates, so we could work around those. So it was interesting. So based on that, we also thought through a lot, and that's how it kind of came into being. So one of the important things is that if you notice, we have given a lot of importance to the walls and ceilings. Traditionally, when you build a home, everyone's talking about the flooring. Are you using Italian marble? Are you using hardwood and so on? And people miss that what really brings the warmth into the home is, if not as important but more important, I would say, are the walls and ceilings. Different materials in different places to bring in that warmth into the home. We were very conscious, so that whole outside, inside, inside, outside was like a defining, I would say, theme when we were designing. In fact, the first designs did not even have these sliding doors that you see. It was supposed to be all open. But sadly, we are all slightly spoilt urban creatures, so we don't want creepy crawlies coming into our bedrooms. So then we had to put in these. But otherwise, we said if you're. So therefore, we did very consciously bring in those elements. Okay, for me, the first thing that comes to my mind when you say luxury is freedom of time, right? So, growing up, we are only exposed to the idea of luxury being things, right? Material things, the tangible stuff, like a luxury car, a luxury shoe, and so on. But as you get to experience life, you start realizing that there are many things that you can buy and there are some things that you can't. And so for me, the freedom of time uh, is very, very important. And therefore, when you say luxury, for me, the first thing that I think of is that. Yeah, so it's very important because home is where you spend most of your time, right? Especially uh, nowadays where you can work from anywhere, right? Not just work from home, but work from anywhere. And the way the whole world is connected. So you want to be in a happy place. And that's where home comes in. It could be first home, second home, whatever it is. But that's a place where you're comfortable, it's your safe place, where you spend most of your time. Of course, this may sound funny, but for me, the bathroom is like the most important thing. And I think a lot of people miss that. But in the home, it's something you spend fair amount of time in. You're there every day, a few times. So yeah. So and if you can enjoy a large and well-equipped bathroom, I think that's luxury. Yeah, so we look for space. So, it needs to have enough space to fit in all of our stuff. It's the use of materials. And when I say materials, it's not just expensive materials. See, I think people sometimes mistake luxury to be expensive. It's not always the case. Luxury, it could be rare, it could be calming. So, the right materials used in the right places brings out that luxury. Like I said, I spend a lot of time at the clubhouse. It's so expansive. It's got everything, but yet you feel like you're in a garden, right? So even when I work out in the gym, I keep the windows open, and it's as if I am working out in the garden, which is very rare to find, right? So and it's so well equipped. So you have a beautiful pool. So it depends on the mood of the day. You want to go to the gym, you want to hit the pool, play a game of tennis. I just love every day, if not twice, at least once, you'll find me at the clubhouse. A lot of people talk about work life balance, but I believe that work and life are kind of merged. And if you can enjoy both simultaneously, that's the real work life balance. Then it becomes like each one is competing for the other. So my philosophy is that, like I said, I may be on in the gym. If there's a work call for 10 minutes, I'm happy to take it, and then I'm back doing what I was doing. So it's a kind of blend between the two. And because you can work from anywhere, I'm happy to work from here most days. Fortunately for me, I'm lucky and blessed that I don't have to spend too much time at work. So most of my time, I spend maybe a couple of hours a day on work, and the rest of the time is for my personal pursuit. Yeah, so this is the garden at our home here in Frangipani. Like I told you, we were really fortunate that the developers already had planted all these lovely trees around. So there was very little that we really had to do. But we were very keen to have this whole large expansive garden where you just kind of stroll around and stuff. So that's where we are. The big trees that you see were already here. So we didn't want like an overly manicured place, while keeping some aesthetics in mind, but we wanted to just bring in a few fruit trees, some flowering trees that kind of we like to see every day. Yeah. I've been in the travel business for over 20 years, so I've been lucky to travel a lot over the years, and everywhere we go, every place leaves something nice with you. We try to bring back some things, but sometimes it's just memory. But as far as our home at Frangipani itself, it was the whole idea of having a getaway, kind of a country estate, if I may use that term, weekend home. So that was the whole idea behind wanting to have a space like this. So it's like I said, it's just the whole idea of this space where the whole family gets together and has a great time whenever we do. Yeah, I would say our home is, it's modern, not very minimalist, but very calming. Yeah, so Frangipani is really, I would describe it as an oasis that has the right elements of landscape and all the urban elements that one looks for these days. Oh, a lot of things. We even before we decided to buy this home, we met a number of times over coffee, and the first thing that comes to my mind is the heart. Was his heart was fully invested in this project. For him, this was not a pure financial endeavor. He was completely invested in this, in the sense that every tree that you see, every element that you see, he has thought through. And another beautiful thing about Prashant is that he's so open to conversation. So if I call him and tell him, listen, Prashant, it's great you've done this, but how about this? And he's really interested to know why, and he wants to try it out. So there's a lot of heart, a lot of effort, and even before, like I told you, even before starting to sell plots in this project, he has invested so much into building the infrastructure. I think that is commendable. Yeah, so typical day here, I mean, it can be a bunch of things, but let me say an ideal day in Frangipani. I would take my cycle out for a kind of a 1 hour ride. This area has some beautiful riding route. And there's hardly any traffic, so you can peacefully go around. So I kind of start my day that way, come back. One of the beautiful things of being here is that my wife and I, we kind of get involved with the cooking. So be it breakfast or some days elaborate dinners. But we come here prepped so that we can spend time together and, spend time making some interesting dishes and so on. The rest of the day, I mean, like I told you, the clubhouse is a favorite. I try and go there for an hour or two during the day. Definitely an afternoon nap. You can't miss it. Most people who come and stayed here, the first thing they tell me is how well they've slept. So it's got that kind of a calming effect. In and around, I mean, one of the other reasons that we kind of zeroed in on this place is the Clover Greens golf course. It's just like a 6-7 minute drive away. My son plays competitive golf, so he loves to play often. I enjoy the game, and so whenever we are here, the two of us try and get a game together. It's great father-son bonding, and we both enjoy it. And it's such a short drive away. See, one of the things before that I wanted to tell you is that when we first invested in Frangipani, we thought of it as a weekend home, right? But as we started using it, we realized that once we come here, we really don't want to go back to the city. So it's become kind of it's just a second home. It's not weekend, weekday. Because if we come here, we like to spend a week, 10 days. Early last year, we actually spent about 5-6 months here. And I would just once or twice a week go into the city for work. But otherwise, it's just so amazing. So what I would tell people is, listen, if you really want to have a great quality of life, if you want to have the space and the opportunity to do what you like to do, I think you need to invest in something like Frangipani. And it's very unique. I don't think there's anything like this, at least in and around Bangalore, for sure.